I can still hear the steady tick of the clock from that night, each second dragging across my chest like a blunt blade. 24 years of marriage had passed, yet I paced my living room like a man who no longer belonged there. The dining table sat untouched, candles unlit, and the roast chicken I had spent hours preparing lay cold on the counter. Vanessa, my wife, had said she was going out with friends, but I knew her. I had read her eyes for decades, and that evening they betrayed her. She wasn't meeting friends. She was meeting someone else, and after 24 years, I refused to wait in silence any longer. It had started slowly, as betrayal often does. Subtle shifts first. Vanessa guarding her phone, spending longer in front of the mirror, laughing at messages she never shared with me. And sometimes, just sometimes, I caught a faint trace of a cologne that wasn't mine. At first, I told myself I was imagining things. After all, we had endured grief, celebrated anniversaries, raised 2 children, bought a home together. Who would betray someone after so much history? Then came the lie I could no longer ignore. Vanessa told me she was going out for a girls' night, but she slipped into a black dress I hadn't seen in years. It hugged her figure in a way that spoke of seduction, not casual fun. Her lips were painted, heels clicked on the floor, perfume lingering in the air. The kind of effort she hadn't made for me in decades. My stomach churned. I knew she wasn't going out with friends. I could have confronted her, begged, shouted, or demanded the truth. But instead, a hard clarity settled over me. 24 years of sacrifices flashed before my eyes. Late nights working overtime to pay for the house, dreams buried to build a family, vacations skipped to care for her mother. She didn't deserve a fight. She deserved consequence. So when she walked out the door, smiling at someone else, I picked up my phone and called my attorney. "Send the process server tonight," I said, my voice calm but heavy. I would not be blindsided. I would not allow another 24 years to be stolen from me. Hours dragged by as I sat in the dim living room, staring at our wedding photo. Vanessa in her lace gown, me in a suit too large for my frame, both of us glowing with promises of forever. I whispered to the photograph, "What happened to us, Vanessa? What happened to forever?" Every creak of the floor, every rustle in the house reminded me she was out there with someone else, laughing, maybe kissing lips that once swore loyalty only to me. Finally, the crunch of tires on the driveway. She returned, cheeks flushed, faint scent of alcohol on her breath, eyes sparkling, but not at me. She froze, seeing me sitting there. "Ethan, you're still awake?" she asked, voice soft, almost teasing. "Yes," I said flatly. I was waiting. Before she could speak further, a knock came at the door. A man in a suit held a sealed envelope. "Mrs. Vanessa Carter?" he asked. She responded automatically. He handed her the envelope. "You've been served." Her face went pale. She clutched the papers, eyes darting between him and me. Then he left. "Divorce papers," I said quietly, voice trembling with rage and sorrow. Her lips parted. "Ethan, wait. It's not what you think. Not what I think?" I echoed, rising to my feet. "You spent tonight with another man after 24 years. 24 years! Tears filled her eyes. "I didn't plan it. It just happened. I felt something was missing. You've been so distant." I laughed bitterly. "Distant? I worked myself raw for us. Every late night, every extra shift. It was for this house, for our kids, for you. And you repaid me by running into another man's arms." "I didn't plan it," she whispered. "That's every cheater's excuse," I said coldly. "You didn't plan it, but you didn't stop it either." She sank onto the couch, hands trembling as she held the papers. "Do you really want to throw away everything we've built? 24 years, Ethan. Our family, our memories. Don't you dare talk about family." I cut her off. "You destroyed that the moment you chose him over me. You made your choice tonight, and I made mine." Her tears spilled freely, but I felt nothing, just numbness. Memories of happier times flashed through my mind. Holding her when her mother died, the day our son Alex was born, when I cried harder than she did. Laughter over burnt dinners, quiet nights together. Poison now. I remember our first anniversary in that tiny cabin in Vermont, snow covering the pines in a soft white blanket. Vanessa laughed as I clumsily built a fire, soot smudging my cheeks. We were young, happy, believing forever was real. Then came the subtle shifts, late nights on the phone, secretive trips, whispers of laughter not shared with me. Weeks passed before that night. I had noticed the small details, the lipstick on the cup, the new perfume, texts disappearing too quickly. Every anomaly confirmed what I already suspected. When she left for her girls' night, I knew what was coming. I would not be blindsided again. I would not allow her betrayal to continue. Chloe and Alex noticed the tension over the following weeks. Chloe cried quietly in her room, asking why Mommy and Daddy weren't talking. Alex clenched his fists, barely speaking, furious and confused. I had to guide them through their pain while keeping my own composure. Vanessa tried to manipulate them with false promises of reconciliation, but I stayed firm. Her betrayal had consequences. The weeks dragged into months. Every day felt like a battle between holding on to anger and feeling the weight of loss. Chloe would sneak into my office just to sit silently beside me, her small hand clutching mine, while Alex would stare out the window, jaw tight, pretending not to care but radiating a quiet storm inside. I tried to be the anchor they needed. But some nights, after they had gone to bed, I would collapse into the living room chair, staring at the empty spaces where laughter used to echo. The silence was deafening. Vanessa oscillated between remorse and defiance. Some nights she would call, her voice trembling, begging for understanding. "Ethan, please, I never meant for this to happen. I was lonely. I didn't realize." Her excuses fell on deaf ears. Other nights, she showed up at the house, tears streaking her cheeks, pleading to talk, to explain, to make things right. I stood firm. Every visit, every call, every attempt she made to sway me reminded me that she had broken more than our vows. She had broken trust, the very foundation of our family. Lawyers became a constant presence in our lives. The process, cold and clinical, reduced years of love, pain, and memory into forms to fill out, signatures to sign, boxes to check. I found myself reading and rereading every line of the divorce papers, memorizing the language, feeling its weight settle in my chest. Each clause was a scalpel, slicing away at what we had built, and yet I also felt relief. Relief that the decision I had made, so painfully decisive that night, was finally moving forward. The night before the first court date, I wandered through the house. Chloe's room smelled faintly of her favorite vanilla-scented candle, and Alex's baseball glove sat on his desk, dusty from weeks of neglect. I realized then that this wasn't just about me and Vanessa anymore. This was about the two little lives intertwined in our chaos. I didn't want them to see their father broken, bitter, or consumed by rage. I needed to be steady, to show them that sometimes doing the right thing is harder than succumbing to emotion. Court days were an emotional minefield. Sitting across from Vanessa, I watched her face contort with sorrow, guilt, and desperation. Her lawyer attempted to paint her actions as momentary lapses, the result of long-neglected intimacy, of emotional distance. I listened, each word a knife twisting in my heart. But I also reminded myself, this was her choice, her deliberate decision. I did not provoke her, did not force her hand. She had stepped outside the vows we both swore to honor. Between court sessions, I spent hours with Chloe and Alex, filling the home with as much normalcy as I could muster. We played board games, cooked meals together, and on rare sunny afternoons, we walked to the nearby park, where laughter once again filled the air. I felt small victories in these moments, a reminder that life could continue, that love could still exist in forms other than romantic betrayal. Vanessa's attempts to reach me intensified. Notes left at the front door, emails, text messages, sometimes even showing up at school events. She would smile at the children, trying to charm them back into comfort, but they were wary. Chloe asked me once, her voice small, "Daddy, why is Mommy so mean to you?" Alex, older, whispered once while we folded laundry. "I just don't get it. She used to be happy. Why did she ruin everything?" I didn't have answers for them. I only had honesty. Sometimes people make choices that hurt the ones they love. It's not your fault, and it's not mine. But we can move forward. The courtroom finality approached. I remember the morning of the final hearing vividly. I woke before dawn, unable to sleep. The house was still, quiet except for the soft hum of the refrigerator. I dressed carefully in a suit I hadn't worn in months, straightened my tie, and looked at my reflection. I didn't recognize the man staring back. There was sadness, yes, but also steel, a quiet determination. I realized that this version of myself, stripped of illusions, was finally free. Walking into the courthouse, I felt a rush of memories. Every anniversary, every holiday, every quiet Sunday morning we had shared. And yet beneath them, the betrayal lingered, tainting the sweetness with a bitter undertone. I took my seat, Chloe clutching my hand, Alex by my side, each of them staring up at me with eyes filled with questions I wasn't ready to fully answer. Vanessa arrived, looking both familiar and strange, like a photograph from a life I no longer inhabited. She smiled weakly, but it didn't reach her eyes. I met her gaze, steady, unwavering. The process server's envelope sat on the judge's bench, a silent testament to choices made, lines crossed, and years unraveling. The judge's words were deliberate, measured. Legalese translated into the reality I had long anticipated. The marriage was dissolved. Custody arrangements were finalized. Property divided. Responsibilities outlined. And in that moment, I felt a strange mix of liberation and grief. The woman I had loved for 24 years was now, officially, a stranger. Leaving the courthouse, Chloe and Alex flanked me, their small hands intertwined with mine. We walked in silence at first, the world around us muted by the enormity of the day. Then Chloe spoke, "Daddy, are we going to be okay?" I knelt down, looked into her wide, tear-filled eyes, and whispered, "Yes, honey, we're going to be okay, stronger than ever." Alex didn't speak, but I felt his silent agreement in the firm grip of his hand. Back at the house, I began the slow process of reclaiming space. Bedrooms were reorganized, belongings sorted, memories sifted. Vanessa's presence lingered in small traces, her favorite mug, the faint scent of her perfume. But I no longer recoiled. Instead, I allowed myself to acknowledge the past, to see the pain, and then release it. The house, once a shrine to betrayal, slowly became a sanctuary again. Night after night, I found myself reflecting on the choices we make in life, the courage it takes to confront truth, and the resilience required to face it head-on. Betrayal doesn't merely break hearts. It shapes the very core of a person, forces them to redefine their identity, and challenges them to find peace amidst ruins. I realized then that my strength wasn't in holding on to what was lost, but in moving forward, carrying lessons learned, and protecting those I still loved. Months passed. Seasons changed. Chloe and Alex adapted, resilient in ways that astounded me. Their laughter returned, their curiosity blossomed, and slowly, the echoes of Vanessa's presence faded into the background. I began exploring parts of myself I had long neglected. Hobbies shelved for convenience, friendships deferred for family obligations, dreams buried under routine. For the first time in years, I felt like the man I was meant to be. Evenings, once hollow and filled with tension, became moments of quiet reflection. I would sip my coffee on the porch, watching the sun dip behind the trees, and feel a peace that had been absent for decades. The house was no longer a prison of memories. It was a canvas for a new beginning. Betrayal, I learned, does not define a person. The choice to rise above it does. That night, when I sent the process server, I chose myself. I reclaimed my dignity, my sense of self, and a life that wasn't bound by lies. And in doing so, I discovered something profound. Freedom is not merely the absence of deceit, but the presence of truth, courage, and resilience. Years from now, Chloe and Alex will look back on this time not with bitterness, but with the understanding that sometimes, adults make mistakes, but love, honesty, and integrity guide them through. And I too will carry this lesson, a testament to endurance, self-respect, and the unshakable knowledge that no matter how deep the betrayal, life can be rebuilt, stronger and richer than before.